good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. We are thrilled that you are with us today. Yeah, we got the show in. We did. Today's program, I've got some, I think, good news, some weird news, and some information that you really should take to heart. You really should take to heart, and or at least think about it. We'll do that. Again, the Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. We'll be back right after these messages. Well, hey everybody, my name is Willie Lawson, and you guys know that I do a lot of stuff on the internet. And you may think with what's happening on Twitter and what's happening on Facebook and what happened to Parler that the mainstream social media sources are really trying to rid themselves of conservative voices. And you'd be right. They most certainly are. But you know what? It isn't as bad as you think it is. It's worse. But there are people who are willing to be platformed for free speech. One of those places is freedomforum.website. freedomforum.website. You can go there and speak your mind. So come join us. Enjoy the freedom. Enjoy the fun. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com. And you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report. Welcome back. My name is Willie Lawson. Great news. Governor Spencer Cox, a Republican from Utah, signed a bill banning abortion clinics across the state as Republicans continue their fight to protect the life of unborn babies. Praise the Lord. The bill, now a statewide law, will require abortion clinics to shut down their doors by 2024 or when their medical license expires, whichever comes first. The bill also bans women from having the procedure after 18 weeks of pregnancy. 18 weeks. Under the new law, all abortions will be forced to take place in a hospital where the procedure can be monitored by doctors who will adhere to the 18-week rule. And I don't know this, but my guess is if the hospital wants to continue to get any state funding, they'll have to go ahead and adhere to that rule. Starting on January 1st, 2024, inducing or performing an abortion contrary to statutory requirements is unprofessional conduct for healthcare providers, prohibits the abortion of children conceived and prohibits the abortion of children conceived as a result of rape or incest after they have reached the 18-week gestational age, and requires a physician in case of a diagnosis of lethal fatal anomaly to give notice of the availability of a prenatal hospice or prenatal palliative care as an alternative to abortion. Now, if the baby is sick and the baby is going to die in utero, they will give they will offer the availability of prenatal hospice and prenatal palliative care as an alternative to abortion. Uh, Lawmakers in Utah said the bill would protect the innocent and the unborn, which was previously passed in 2019, but didn't go into effect until the Supreme Court overruled Roe v. Wade. Now, this is one of those trigger laws. They approved the bill, and they said when Roe v. Wade is overturned, because they believe that it would be, this law will go into effect. Now, of course, this law has angered pro-abortion advocates, and of course, people who want to make money from it, who are threatening to find a way around the 1446 line pro-life bill. Planned Parenthood, of course, they are apoplectic. Their lobbyist, Jason Stevenson, said the association will be looking closely at the wording of the bill to find loopholes so the clinics can apply for new licenses and continue to make that money while killing all the black babies. Cox described the bill as a cleanup of the state's previous trigger ban on abortion, adding that it gives clarity to those who think that killing an unborn baby is expected and accepted and allowed. You won't be shouting your abortion in Utah. Afraid not. Because Utah says enough. All done. All done. One of the comments reads, side benefit, California left-wing loonies won't be moving to Utah. Yeah, it's the truth. That this is really, really good news. Now, what needs to happen is that a lot of other states, Florida, my state, needs to go ahead and take this approach. This sort of pull the Band-Aid off and say no, especially to this baby death industrial complex that we have between government and these abortion clinics. The answer should be no. No, you don't get to kill your baby. No. You don't get to kill your baby for your career. No. No, you don't. No, you don't. Seems harsh. You know what's harsher? Being chopped up into bits and being sucked out by a vacuum cleaner and tossed in the trash. It's a human being. It's like imagine you being tossed into a wood chipper. Imagine taking a 2-year-old and tossing that person into a wood chipper. That's what abortion is. What it is. All right. So we'll break. We'll be back with something that a college professor has said about food pantries. We'll be right back. So is it okay now, because it was, I mean, during the Trump administration, it is okay to talk about the president's
yeah. We talked about mental health elderly, so let's talk about this guy's mental health.
The president's mental acuity, because there's sometimes where it seems to be lacking. Have you seen?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's especially bad. I mean, I'm talking about sometimes it's like really bad. Like, have you seen the picture?
I was told not to take any questions.
I was told not to take any questions. They're going to be mad at me.
They're going to be mad at me.
Mr.
President, are you the president, or were you 5?
You see, what I want. See, the next question is, excuse me,
I was told to call on what you call it for NBC. Who's telling you to call on?
That's the question that we ought to be asking. Who's telling you this?
I mean, I don't understand why nobody won't ask that question.
Is Jen Psaki actually the president?
Who's telling you to call on these people in the media?
Is Jen Psaki actually the president?
Probably so.
Hey, welcome back. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. Yes, I need to go in there and talk to my wife about the pantry, the food pantry that she's building in our house, that she's keeping up with in our house. Because according to a certain college professor, this college professor believes that organized pantries in people's homes are rooted in racism and sexism. Her name is Dr. Jenna Drenton. She is an associate professor of marketing at Loyola University, and she has made the remarks in a piece for The Conversation, where she slammed the trend of people posting videos of their styled, organized pantries on TikTok. According to Dr. Drenton, now, y'all need to write this down, because the level of dumbassery here is very, very high, because she's a doctor. She has a PhD. You know what that means? Piled high and deep. So here we go. According to Dr. Drenton, maintaining a clean, organized home equates to sexist and racist behavior, because most people who post pantry porn, what they're calling on TikTok, are white women. So white women trying to not have your house be nasty and tore up, racist behavior. And because it's a woman doing it, it's also sexist. Here's what she says. Cleanliness has historically been used as a cultural gatekeeping mechanism to reinforce status distinctions based on a vague understanding of niceness. Nice people with nice yards and nice houses make for nice neighborhoods. I'm going to stop right there. Here is what happens. That Dr. Drenton knows Black people who grow up in, or Spanish people, or white people who grow up in crappy neighborhoods that are dirty, with crappy people, crappy yards, crappy houses, in crappy neighborhoods, want to get the hell out, to move to somewhere that has nice people with nice yards, nice houses, and nice neighborhoods for their children primarily, and for themselves. And I mentioned that for a reason, and I'll get back to what she says, and then I'll double back to what I meant. What lies beneath the surface of this anti-messiness, uh, pro-niceness stance is a history of classist, racist, and sexist social structures. In my research, Dr. Drenton says, influencers who produce pantry porn are predominantly white women, except for my wife, who does the same thing. Who demonstrate what it looks like to maintain a nice home by creating a new status symbol, a perfectly organized, fully stocked pantry. Perhaps it's not surprising that pantry porn found its foothold during the COVID-19 pandemic when shortages and supply chains surged. Keeping stuff on hand became a symbol of resilience for those with the money and the space to do so. This allure of strategic stockpiling is evident in other collector subcultures like doomsday preppers and extreme couponers. Now, we're going to go on with some more BS that she said. But what I'm telling you is that if she thinks that living in, living in a nice house, living in a nice neighborhood, living among nice people is somehow racist, and living in a nice neighborhood, and she would prefer that people of color would live in around people who weren't nice, who weren't good, with in a crappy, dirty place, with houses that are falling down and are not nice, that are bug infested and roach infested and lead paint still infested, in bad neighborhoods. That somehow that's better because it's not racist, it's not sexist. She's the racist. I don't know if Dr. Drenton realizes it, that if you don't give people something to aspire to, and living in a nice neighborhood is not something that's racist or sexist. Because let me tell you, Dr. Drenton, there's a bunch of educated Black people who don't live in the hood anymore. They may have grown up there, but they ain't there now, and they don't drive through there at night, and they barely go through there during the day. Damn sure not at night. And they got somebody, if they don't do their yard, somebody comes and does their yard because they want it nice. And they have nice pantries that are stocked and organized. They do. And they shop at Costco and BJ's and Sam's, and they stock up on stuff because they want to make sure they have, if somehow you can't get it. It's not a sexist behavior. It's smart, Dr. Drenton. More of it. The work required to restock, refill, and reset the kitchen is a central element in producing everyday pantry porn. In my research, Dr. Drenton says, I have found that this work often falls to the women in the household. One TikTok mom goes on a snack strike, stating that she will not restock the pantry until her children and husband eat what they already have. Okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? I can't redo this until y'all eat some of this crap. Magazines like Good Housekeeping were once the brokers of idealized domestic work. Now, online pantry porn sets the aspirational women standard for becoming an ideal mom, while ideal wife and ideal woman. This grew out of a shift towards an intensive mothering ideology, which equates being a good mom with time-intensive, labor-intensive, financially expensive care work. No, Dr. Drenton, if you and people like you find yourself lacking because what you chose to do is be a college professor, and it seems like to me that you and a lot of people like you, a lot of women like you, are experiencing some guilt, especially when faced with women who have made other decisions, who've decided what they will concentrate on for their life is their family. they made that decision. They made that choice. And I thought most of you were pro-choice. Well, they are until you choose something they don't like. So it appears that organized pantries are the latest targets for leftists. Bird watching, same thing. Long dead statues tied to slavery and white supremacy. Yeah, absolutely, positively, one of the most foolish things I've heard in a very long time. We'll be back right after this. Well, hey everybody, my name is Willie Lawson, and you guys know that I do a lot of stuff on the internet. And you may think with what's happening on Twitter and what's happening on Facebook and what happened to Parler that the mainstream social media sources are really trying to rid themselves of conservative voices. And you'd be right. They most certainly are. But you know what? It isn't as bad as you think it is. It's worse. But there are people who are willing to be platformed for free speech. One of those places is freedomforum.website. Freedomforum.website. You can go there and speak your mind. So come join us. Enjoy the freedom. Enjoy the fun. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or a phone number. My florist is Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com. And you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report. Good morning, everyone. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a selection of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. One of the things I want to talk about this morning has to do with the culture war. And it is amazing to me, disheartening in a number of ways, that a number of conservatives still don't understand, still haven't figured out that where things went off the track in this country did not have to do with politics. That's not where things went off the track. Things went off the track because we lost the culture. Now, so much of that is lost on so many conservatives, especially older conservatives, and especially older white conservatives. Frankly, you missed it. You were, and Black folks too. You were so involved in your careers. You were so involved in raising your family and making sure that your pantry was stocked and your lawn was kept up, and you lived in nice neighborhoods and you were nice people, and you took your kids to music lessons and soccer practice, and you wondered what the heck happened. Well, the left was busy attaching itself to the culture. The culture consists of a number of things. Fads, yes, social media, but it's not all social media. It's fads. It's Hollywood. It's all these things combined. It's the music. It's all of it combined. Um, pushing every agenda. So when the culture is pushing one narrative forward, the narrative of the left forward, you can spend your time trying to put out that fire and that fire and that fire and that fire. But the left will wear your ass out. It will wear your ass out. So what you have to do is understand that if we are at war, we are in a cultural battle where we have to be able to fight fire with fire in a cultural battle. Let me give you an example. Now, I don't know if this is the best example, but this is one of the things that always, always bothered me. When I would go to a Tea Party gathering, the soundtrack of a Tea Party gathering, almost 100% of the time, was country music. Yes, led by Lee Greenwood's I'm Proud to Be an American. I don't have any problem with the song. It's not at all. But if I hear it again, I want to headbutt a nun. That became the soundtrack of the Tea Party movement. Did you know that the only original American art form is jazz? Did you realize that? You know what I never heard at a Tea Party gathering? Jazz. Any of it. Whether it was 1940s swing, like In the Mood or A String of Pearls, or if it was, Charlie Parker or Miles Davis or Dave Brubeck, or always country music. Now, country music sends off a sort of vibe for a certain kind of person. Now, don't. First of all, I'm a professional musician, a music educator, been in music all my life. I understand that there are a lot of great country music stars that are not white, previous and present. I understand that. But to be honest, country music appeals to a certain demographic. Now, why it does that, I don't know. It just does. Now, not everybody, because my son, who is not white, is a fan of country music. He thinks it's good. He likes the songwriting. He likes the talent of the performers. He likes the storytelling that's in most country songs, or country and western songs. He does. He has real good reason why he likes it. I myself not such a fan. Never have been. So the Tea Party movement, its soundtrack was country music, which sets off a vibe. And frankly, it's not an inclusive vibe at all. It's not a vibe that makes a tent bigger. And it was used against the Tea Party movement. Against the Tea Party movement. Just listen to them in there without all their white uh country music for a racist. Yeehaw! Confederate flags, the whole nine, right? As opposed to saying, "What's that Motown going on in there?" Motown, great American music. Any one of 100 songs from the Great American Songbook. Nat King Cole, Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, anything by the Rat Pack, Sammy Davis Jr., the Great American Songbook, country music. It missed an opportunity in the culture war because there were people in the meetings who weren't in the meetings, who weren't in the gatherings, who agreed with a lot of the concepts when you talk to them outside, but they would never step foot in because of the culture and the vibe it sent off. Because a lot of people didn't realize that it wasn't just a battle about taxes, it wasn't just a battle about George Bush and his out of control tax and spend mentality, or Barack Obama and about the Unaffordable Health Care Act. It wasn't all about that. About changing the culture. It's about who's going to control it. And I think in that very small way, the Tea Party missed it. As a group, a unit error, because it's always been about the culture. And those politicians who understand that are oftentimes looked at inappropriately. People miss it because you have to attack the culture. Andrew Breitbart said politics are downstream of the culture. Things that happen in the culture down to politics, not the other way around. So if you want to affect any real change, you have to address the culture. Now, of course, the best place to start that, of course, is in your own home. What is the culture of your home? What are the things that a lot of you parents who send your children off to enormous state university and they come back after 2 months at enormous state university and sit under your table at Thanksgiving and tell you what a terrible person you are, and what a terrible person you are for living in a nice neighborhood and having a nice yard and having a nice full organized pantry and having nice friends. May tell you that you are racist and you are sexist. Your children who benefit now and before. Because what you decided to do was you decided to turn them over to the culture. And the culture will win. The battle of the culture is not attached to a not attached to an election cycle. The battle of the culture is long and drawn out and tough and hard and will push people from side to side and push people push people away from you, isolate you, humiliate you, exasperate you. But it's important that we understand that it is a battle for the culture. I hear oftentimes that, common sense isn't so common anymore. Maybe not. And it isn't common because we don't have common experiences. Why? Because the culture makes sure that we don't think we have common experiences. So without those common experiences, we can't look at things the same. So thus, no common sense about things. Folks, before we get out of here this morning, I want to tell you that how do you, because you're asking me, so Willie, what should we do? A parent at one of the schools I was working at, um, when I asked him about how are your kids so good, and he said to me a couple of things. He said this. He said, Willie, do not let other people raise your children. Whether those other people are family members, or those other people are at the daycare, or other people are at schools or whatever. Do not let other people raise your children. Do not. If it isn't going to be cute when they're 5, then it's not cute when they're 2. Sometimes you will have to be the mean dad. You will. So what he was saying to me, and what I will say to Joy Reid and that entire ilk, the children do not belong to the collective. The children belong to me. My child belongs to me in every sense of the word. My child is connected to me. My child is not connected to the collective. It is my responsibility to raise my child in the way that I believe that will work best for my child, as that my child has to navigate through life. It is my responsibility to do so. If I happen to invite you along on the journey, remember, I'm the person driving the train. I am the person who is paying the freight. I'm the one who has to be satisfied. And in every sense, let your child know that. Let that be the culture in your home. And if 95% of you, where your children go to school, have that culture, and then you'll change the culture of the school. And you'll share that culture with your children. Guess what? They'll share it with them, with their children. And then you'll be able to change the culture. And by changing the culture, because what? Let's say it again. Thank you, Andrew Breitbart. Because politics is downstream of the culture, you'll change the politics. Folks, you're not going to change the politics until you change the culture. And you have to change the culture one family, one household at a time. One more story before I let you go. I was in college, and I was talking to my roommate because we were broke, and what we had to do was have conversation to entertain ourselves. And he asked me, he said, Willie, what are we going to do about racism? And I said, there's nothing we can do about racism as a whole. That problem has to be solved one household at a time. And he said, that'll take forever. And I said, yes, it'll take forever. So people need to get started right away. Now, the very fact that my roommate at the time ended up being my best friend and the best man at my wedding, and still my best friend after 40 years, and he's a white fellow, we were well on our way to changing the culture. My name is Willie Lawson. This has been the Morning Report. Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and Fightback Media TV. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.